1985. I love 1985 because that's the year I was born. Our guest here today, he loves 1985 because, well, he became a state champion in 1985. Sir, tell us who you are.
I am Shane Stamatis. I wrestled for Henry Clay High School from 1982 through 1985, and I that time in my life those were some great years, and I'm grateful for that time, and I'm grateful for Mr. Green and the chance to talk about those days.
And of course, as always, we have your match video. We have the medal ceremony. We'll get to that just in a second. But Shane, man, as we've done other videos, we've done not just from Henry Clay, but the Lexington, Woodford region, even the Louisville region in the 80s. Wrestling had kind of already been established there in Lexington and Louisville. Some of course, your bigger cities, if you will, in the state. It had started to spread out to other parts of the state. But how do you find it in 1981, 82? How does it go for you?
It actually started out where, for me, like a lot of young Lexingtonians, I grew up going to Memorial Coliseum, actually, and then ultimately Rupp Arena. And basketball was my thing. But as a freshman, I'm 5 foot, 95 pounds. I was not going to make the basketball team. My future in my mind was I was going to be the next Dr. J, but I started realizing that might not happen. And so Rick Walterman was a couple years ahead of me, and he lived across the street, and he started talking to me about wrestling, and I'm like, wow. So I could, back in my day, junior high was 7 through 9.
Okay.
And here I am, a ninth grader, and I'm undersized. I in fact was cut from the junior high basketball team. And I'm like, man, it's going to be tough for me to be as good as Dr. J if I can't make the junior high A team basketball team. So at Rick Walterman, this is the younger brother of two early state champions. So David Walterman was a Henry Clay state champion. And then, man, I can't remember the other Walterman brother, but Rick Walterman was the guy who was my age. He was a couple years older than me, and he said, "Hey, we don't even have a 98-pound guy. You could start at a high school level. You could earn a letter. So when you show up as a sophomore on campus, you can be wearing a letter jacket with a letter on it." And I thought, oh, okay, I'll do that.
Was his brother's name Steve by chance?
Steve, yeah. So
Okay.
David Walterman was the oldest. Steve Walterman was the next oldest. And then Rick Walterman, who I think the highest he ever finished was like 5th or something like that.
Yep. I believe the Walterman brothers were 1977 and 1978 back to back, respectively, state champions.
Yeah.
Speaking of that 78 team, or 78, I should say, talking about basketball, I guess you were at that impressionable age watching Goose and Macy and all those guys.
And James Lee. And James Lee. So the only difference between me and James Lee is that I'm right-handed, and I had to lower the goal down to 8 feet to dunk it.
That's completely understandable. And you're talking about Henry Clay being in school there. If memory serves me right, Henry Clay won the Sweet 16 in 83, right?
That's right.
Against Carlisle County. I believe it was 3 overtimes?
It was.
Yep.
Dude, your memory is fantastic. And we were a basketball school. My grandfather played for Henry Clay. My father actually went to Lafayette, but we were a basketball school because of that 83 team.
Mm.
Two of, I think of when I graduated, we had two guys on my senior year's team. One last name was Rupp, who was Chip Rupp, and one last name was Nash, who was Richie Nash. This is the son of Cotton Nash, who
I was going to say the pretty good names there. And
right.
then didn't Sean Sutton go to Henry Clay as well?
He did, but he was way behind me.
That's why I was thinking he went after Joe B left whenever Eddie come in.
Right.
So you get in, you start wrestling as a freshman, which wasn't out of the norm. Just about every single person that we've met with, there's been some outliers. Maybe dad wrestled, like you said, grandparents, big brother, somebody wrestled. They may have done some work at home on their own, just being the crash test dummies, like used to be like a ad campaign or whatever.
Yeah.
Just being throw dummies or whatever. And you got to get in, you got to get used to being, I don't want to say beat up, but you got to get used to the physicality. I mean, you just do. And the younger that you learn that, the better off you're going to be. Wrestling is a physical sport. It's two equally sized human beings with the goal to pin their shoulders to the mat for a count of 2 seconds. I mean, it's going to be rough. That's the part. Yeah. That is wrestling. But the Henry Clay, man, 21 state champions. Now, we've done. You're the fifth video that we've done for Henry Clay, review video wise, and we've got a bunch more lined up. Today is July 3rd, 2024. We actually just got in contact probably about 2 hours ago, maybe 2.5 most, and we set this up to do this evening, and because having the match video. You said you've never seen it. We'll talk about that just in a second. But when it comes to Henry Clay, most people associate Henry Clay wrestling with Dominic Black, probably the most awarded, probably the best wrestler in the state of Kentucky history as far as international goes, nationals, all that kind of stuff. But the one thing you can say on top of being a state champion is you probably have the best win-loss record against Dominic Black than anybody in the world. Now, of course, we all know how it is in practice. Practice only matters to those who are in practice. Practice doesn't count outside of the mat room or the practice room or whatever. If you've ever competed in any type of combative sport, practice stays in practice. But when you can say you have the best win-loss record against somebody like Dominic Black, even though he may have been a first-year wrestler, it still feels pretty good, don't it?
Oh, man, it really does. And the thing I would tell you is so I'm a senior, he's a sophomore, he comes out, I'm like, who is this dude? And really, I wasn't even the guy. I was like co-captain, but nobody thought I was necessarily anything because David Greathouse was the man. His dad was he was our effective coach. First of all, shout out to Coach Norman Powell, who was our head coach, the facilitator. It's not like he didn't know his stuff, but he was mostly a football coach. And so David Greathouse Sr. was the practical in practice coach. He was the one who taught me everything. And really, when I think about here, I'm a senior, I'm getting ready for state, and in practice, I don't know if I can beat David Greathouse, and I don't know if I can beat David Greathouse Sr., but the person who I knew I could whip was Dominic Black. And first of all, it was like homeboy he barely knew the rules. Like even in practice, he's still locking hands. I'm trying to think of whether he made it out his sophomore year, which was his first year. I don't know if he made it out of district into region. I don't think he did, because he could not take somebody down and let go of his hands. so back then, when you take somebody down, collegiate wrestling, you gotta let go. You can't lock hands. And he would hit the number of locking hands penalties that Dominic Black incurred his sophomore year. Like, we're all, the coaches, me, the other seniors and juniors, we're all looking at him going, when are you going to learn this? You got to let go. And so, yeah, that was the thing. And the other thing about Dominic was when we started practice. So this is 1984, the fall. And so this is before the time change, the daylight savings change. We would run outside the gym to warm up, and I'd come in, stretch a little bit, go for a run. My junior year, I'm the first one across the finish line in any conditioning thing. Even from my freshman year, I was trying to be at the top of the list, but my junior year, I was definitely at the top of the list. And David Greathouse was better than me, but he wasn't in more shape than me. And he was cutting weight. I wasn't. And so all of a sudden I'm running outside the gym and this dude is right behind me and Dominic Black is breathing on me. And I'm like, this has never happened before. Like, it didn't happen all of the previous year. I was out there by myself and all of a sudden then we go in the gym. We're on the mat. We got we got the worst practice mat of all time at Henry Clay. And I'm in there doing push-ups, doing sit-ups, all the conditioning drills. And I'm used to being the best and way by myself. Like, when it comes to conditioning, I'm not talking about wrestling. Again, we're talking about David Greathouse was just a better wrestler than me. He was just better than me. But when it came to conditioning, push-ups, sit-ups, I'm used to being by myself, and all of a sudden this dude Dominic Black is out there. He is just and I'm like, who is this guy? And I'm so thankful for how he transformed our wrestling room. Like, he was getting mopped by David Greathouse as a sophomore, and yet he just kept on coming and kept on coming. And it was that type of work ethic. And I'm like, I don't know if he'll ever be any good. I actually didn't think he would be any good, but I knew this dude was a worker. And my dad actually noticed that, how in matches, Dominic Black he'd be losing like 8-1 in the first or second period, and he'd keep on coming and he'd keep on coming, and he would end up winning matches.
Yeah.
Like 10-9, where he was losing after 2 periods.
In 86, I mean, interrupt you, but in 86, as a junior, he come in third. And in his review video, he said he was sitting there after he got his medal. And he said he was sitting there in the gym, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the effect of, he said, internally, I'm never losing another match again. He come back, of course, next year, 87, most outstanding wrestler, goes on to a NCAA All-American performance at West Virginia University. Who knows how many world, international, national championships, world teams. I mean, probably, in my opinion, Dominic is on the Mount Rushmore of the best Kentucky wrestlers. That's high school career and post career. I mean, there's nobody even close to him, in my opinion. But it's a great. It's good to have somebody to push you. You know what I'm saying? It's good to let. What's the old saying? Sometimes Superman can bleed, and sometimes you got to know, hey, maybe there is somebody in another mat room working harder than I am, that's wanting this championship more than me. If there's somebody that can work as hard as I am in my mat room, you know what I mean? And that's Absolutely. over the years doing the series and meeting with people, there's a direct correlation between having a great practice partner, a great mat room, and saying, like you said, I come in as a freshman, I come in as an 8th grader, whatever year you decide to start wrestling. Yep, I took my lumps my first couple years. But whenever I got my opportunity, I started dishing out the lumps because I took mine in a great mat room, and that's how you build a program. I mean, it truly is. So the Dominic Black effect is still felt at Henry Clay, man. I mean, he's still there should be a statue of him out front for what he's done as far as wrestling goes.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. He is. We've never had, and we've had some great athletes. I mean, James Lee, the 1978 championship team went to Henry Clay. We had state championships teams back when my grandfather was playing basketball for Henry Clay. But Dominic Black is an elite international level. He's a global athlete, and furthermore, he was the hardest worker. Like I was supposed to be the hardest worker as a senior, and I'm like, I can't turn around and this dude's not breathing on me. Like he is working that hard.
I believe that, man. But let's kind of go to your 1985 bracket real quick. 1985, man, great year of wrestling. It truly is. You had David Ritchie at 112. You had Matt Shotwell at 167. Rest in peace to Matt Shearer at 185. Mike Chisholm at heavyweight. Danny Lovell, Jared Rudd. We can go Earthman at 98 pounds. I mean, just the 80 persons and Troy Cole from Connor in the 155 match. I mean, two most outstanding wrestlers going at it in a champion. Of course, 80 wins it, and most outstanding in 85. Troy was coming in a two-timer in 85. He was at most outstanding in 84. I mean, just a great year.
That match, that Cole Persons match, like, so first of all, Cole was supposed to be at 145. He was supposed to be me. Like I ended up state champion because he couldn't make weight, because he chose to wrestle at 155. That match, the arena was like everybody just wanted to get me out of the way so that they could watch that match. That match was like, I wanted to get me out of the way so I could watch that match.
Yeah, it's a great match, and I don't know if you know this or not, but Eddie has passed away on us. Troy, we done Troy's 1983 video. That video, after you get done, this is, like I said, July 3rd. You just discovered the channel today, so man, you got a lot of watching to do. There's a lot of 85, a lot of people that I'm sure you probably know, a lot of 83s. So far we've got Tony Condi on the series, Tim Lawson, Tony Condi 92, Tim Lawson 94, Dan Carmen 1997, Dominic 87. Now we've got some other Henry Clay guys. I don't want to spoil it here. Just stay tuned. As of this filming, man, we're excited to get with everybody. Like I said earlier, man, we're bridging the generations. And we're bridging the geography, 1964 to 2024, all 120 counties, man. We want everybody to know that it's not one part of the state, one certain year, whatever. It's Kentucky against the world, man. You know what I mean? I think that's the mentality that we've taken. But you start off your 1985 state tournament with a 14-5 decision over Paul Brewer from Wagner. That's out of Louisville. You go on to the quarters, because back then it was a 16-man. You go to the quarters. You're wrestling Mike Burgess it's either Burgess or Burgess. I'm not sure how the pronunciation is.
Yeah, I think it's Burgess.
Okay, Burgess. You win a 4-1 decision there. You get to the semis. You're wrestling Brian Honecker from Oldham County. You win that by an 11-1 decision. And the bracket has you coming in with as of going into the finals, a 31-2 record. Does that sound right?
It sounds right. So one of the losses was in West Virginia, in Huntington, West Virginia, but the other one was to your alma mater, a guy named Ed Studer.
Yep.
And I lost to him in the regional whatever the I guess, regional semis. So I didn't even make it to. I did not win region. I lost to Ed Studer, and just some just dumb decisions in the match on my part. But Ed Studer was a really strong. He was kind of a he like, I feel like I was technically better than him, but he was definitely stronger than me. And yeah, I lost that match, and it was very, very sad and stressful. And I'm like in the consolation semis on the edge of losing. I'm wrestling in an overtime match. If I lose this overtime match, I don't even go to state.
Man,
As
a
a
lot.
senior. Yeah.
My phone dropped. Give me 1 second. I know this is great, great television here, great. But one of our referee buddies from Christian County, you may remember this gentleman, Kyle Moore. He wrestled Ed Studer. I'm not sure at what tournament. And this has been, he told me this story a couple years ago because hey man, where are you from? I told him. He was like, a guy named Ed Studer? He's probably the strongest guy I've ever wrestled. So you're the Ed Studer strength, man, lives on almost 40 years, later. Sometimes you run in, I'm not saying you specifically, just anybody that competes, you'll run into somebody with strength that you've never seen before, something that you've never felt, and it may throw you off your game. Like you said, they may not be the best technical wrestler you've ever wrestled or seen or whatever, but there's something about strength that you just can't replicate. And you get a hold of somebody like, wait a minute, normally I could, run this bar and get it, or I can do this and this. It's like, trying to wrestle a fire hydrant. You know what I'm saying? Not much you can do with it. But you get to the finals, you're wrestling Daryl White from Louisville Eastern. Now,
Yes,
we're
sir.
not going to tell you the score. We have the match video. Daryl is a junior. He's coming in with a 43-3 record. So both you guys have really good records. Now,
And I'm one of those three, actually.
are
He
you
lost.
really?
I beat him so back then Woodford County had a Christmas tournament.
They still do. It's still going strong.
Yeah. And I beat him in the finals of that tournament. So I felt really good, really confident going into that match.
Now, like I said, we just got linked up a couple hours ago, literally, and I sent you some screenshots from your match, and you've never seen your finals, correct?
Isn't that sad?
Well, I mean, we always used to have one of these we could pull up, or YouTube or whatever. I get it. And there's so many guys, and that's one of the things that I love about this series is being able to share what we found with people like yourself, families, friends, whoever it may be, that they've heard the stories, or they've heard dad talk about it. They've heard grandpa, big brother talk about it all these years, uncle, whoever it may be. Oh yeah, back in my day, son, Mr. Muscles over here, and you get to see them. And the number of people that have just said thank you for finding the video of somebody, maybe it's passed away or whatever the case is, just being able to have the video and say, man, here you go, enjoy it, go and do with it whatever. But another thing about this channel that I love is, and I think you can agree with me on this, and just about everybody that is involved in wrestling can say that wrestling has been hid for far too long. It doesn't get near the exposure that other sports do, and I'm not knocking any sport, but facts are facts. It doesn't get near the news coverage that certain sports do. It doesn't get near the school attention, the student body attention. And now Kentucky high school wrestling is the most accessible sport on YouTube when it comes to high school. It's the most accessible, the most anything, any algorithm you want to look at, Kentucky high school wrestling is leading the way. It didn't always used to be like that. And I think that you have a great story about the Lexington Invitational Tournament and how you got to see yourself on TV for the first time. So before we watch your match video, tell us that story real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, back when I was in high school, the Lexington Invitational Tournament was on a local cable channel, and this was even maybe my sophomore and junior year. So obviously back when I was in high school, you had a VHS, and so whenever a show you wanted to watch came on, you would record that show. And so obviously I was so excited that my match is gonna be on TV. And so I came home and we recorded my match. So I got to see my three my sophomore, junior, and senior year Lexington Invitational matches, and that was a ton of fun to be able to see those. And my mom recorded, either my mom or my stepdad recorded a couple of my other matches on the 8mm recording, so I got to see a couple of that. It wasn't like that now.
No, I'm kidding.
It wasn't that far back.
I'm kidding.
But it was close. Yeah, it was close. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's as of this filming, we have found, I say we, it's been a collective effort, because I've had so many people digging through attics and basements and storage lockers and going to parents' house, grandparents, whoever, going to school. Like Woodford County, they started their own, well, I don't want to say it's their own channel, but one of their state champions, he's now their head coach, Harrison Courtney, 4-time state champion. He helped me find some old videos for some Woodford County guys. And lo and behold, the school had about 500 old tapes. So I would bet you after we get done, you're on some of those, because there's from the 80s, early parts of the 80s. I'll bet you that you're some videos that you're on. I think he's uploaded close to 400 and some now. So wow. It's just great that people are starting to dig, starting to find, starting to locate stuff. And like I said, it's been you know who you are. I'm not going to say anything, I'll forget somebody, but we've had so much help, whether it's, like I said, a VHS tape, a DVD, something online that somebody's like, oh my gosh, man, check out this. And there was a year that we were missing. And I'm glad everybody's sending the videos of what they've had, because I really feel that people appreciate and respect what we're doing. And I'm glad to be the face, the voice, the personality of Kentucky wrestling. And I want other states to look at what we're doing and say, why aren't we doing what Kentucky's doing? Which I don't think is a sentiment that's ever been said, too often, maybe a few times, about maybe some bourbon, horse racing, fried chicken, whatever. Why aren't we doing what Kentucky's doing? Mm-hmm. We need to be more like Kentucky. So with that said, we are going to.
Oh my goodness. Oh
yeah, look at this right here. Look at this right here. This is a cold February evening. We are in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Atherton High School. The state tournament was held at Atherton from 1974 through 1995. And man, this is your time in the spotlight, if you will, your time to shine. So real quick before we watch it, when you win that semifinals match and you're going to the state championship, what's your emotions like? Talk to us.
So first of all, I was confident because I had already beaten Daryl White at that Woodford County Invitational at Christmas. I also knew that I had I had been learning to ride legs. So I was like, yeah, if I need that, which I actually did need that to win my first match against Burgess that you referenced. If I didn't know how to ride legs, I don't know if I win that match, but that was a key. So I had confidence in that. But really, I came in confident, but there's no question I was extremely nervous. This is my first state tournament. I did not qualify for state as a junior, in large part because of Woodford County and Boyd County guys that were good when I was a junior, and they were just, unfortunately, for me, they were just better than me.
Yeah, man. So, like you said earlier, sometimes you just run into somebody that's better. I mean, it happens. That's just the way it is. But man, you're here now. You're in the like the royal blue with the like gold stripes on the side. That's your singlet. So
Yep.
enough talking about it. You ready to go?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Let's
sir.
do it. Right there, you've got a pretty heavy tie on the head. What was your go-to takedown here, man?
I was a double leg guy, and I actually feel like he was more of a shuck. He could double leg if he needed to, but the other thing I was confident in, like I just wanted to keep pressure on him because I was confident that if it gets to the third period, I'm going to be okay.
Right there, you shoot. You lift up.
Yeah.
And whenever I was cutting this down earlier, I was like, oh, right here, whenever he rolls you through, I was like, are you sure he wins this match? What are we doing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was so bad. Yeah. And he doesn't even really get his hands on me, but regardless, he gets 2. So now I'm trailing 2-1. And I never really I almost felt like that was a bad call. But regardless, it's 2-1 and I'm down. And gosh, I look so slow right here. One of the things that I was taller than everybody I wrestled, except maybe in the semifinals, I wrestled this guy named Honecker, who was same height as me. But
now, do you have a lot of family in the crowd here? I mean, Lexington to Louisville's not a far trip. Did they know you're in the finals, or?
Oh yeah, my mom is screaming her head off. My dad, my sisters, my stepfather, my brother in the crowd. Yeah, you can see I'm trying to work that Navy. Do I get a takedown here? Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, we're neutral.
Daryl White looks so much smaller now than when I now that I'm like over 200 pounds and he's 145. He looks so much smaller.
So he shoots in, and he's got he's got that leg there, but you're able to defend it off.
Yeah.
And you go right back at him, which is good. That's the end of the first period.
Yeah. You know what? I remember feeling good at that time, like, okay, I made it out of the first period, and hopefully he's getting tired. And stand up was my number one escape.
And I was going to say right there, on the bottom, you done what you needed to do. You get up, you get away, you get your one, or not necessarily get away, but your face. You get your one, so now we're back even. 2-2.
Yeah, again, he was a lot stronger than me. My Coach Greathouse did not want me tying up with him. He wanted me going for my single, my double, and using my length.
There it is. Oh, I was going to say, nice effort, but he had good defense, though. Give him credit on the defense right there.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the next year, Daryl was favored to win the state, but just something happened. I can't remember exactly what. Yeah, that single leg. Wow, you know what? I don't even remember getting this single, but
try for a trip there. He's able to step around.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Now there you go. You get your takedown. So now it's 4-2. Now on top, this is the first time we've got to see you on top there. What are we looking? Are we, like I said, trying to throw legs in? But of course he stands up on you. But I mean, what's your normal bread and butter here?
So if I'm not riding, if I'm on top, I'm gonna run a half. I'm gonna ride legs, or I'm gonna just let them go. I'm not trying to give up a reversal. Oh, yeah, and I would have gone and run a half here, but I would have gone off the mat, and so I don't know. I didn't really have another good option at that point.
Now, earlier they showed the corner. Who is that?
That's that's Coach Greathouse.
That's Coach Greathouse. Okay. All right, so that's the end of the second period.
So what's the score? Do they show the score?
You're up 4-2.
Okay.
Now, I believe there's a clock issue here. That's why they stopped it. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's right. I remember being a little bit frustrated because I'm like, they're letting him rest.
Yep.
I'm like trying to keep the pressure on him.
And I mean, as an official, that's something that I've really tried to, over the past couple of years, is to really, anytime there's an issue, hey, let's get this squared away. Let's go. We got to go. Because it's not right for somebody to be in better shape and let the other person, like you said, get a minute, 2 minutes rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they got the clock situated.
So I can't remember. So I can't remember the name of the knee pads that I was wearing, but it's reminiscent of what I hear my sons who all play basketball. I just know my knee pads were cooler than his. He had like generic knee pads, but I had like actual wrestling knee pads.
I was gonna say yours are staying up around your knees like they're supposed to.
I want to say they're like Force 10 is the name of the knee pad back then.
Now he's picked up the intensity big time. You can tell.
Yeah, I'm working the whizzer. I'm working the underhook. Yeah, and Daryl was kind of like me and David Greathouse, where Daryl White was by far the best wrestler at Eastern, and David Greathouse and I were by far the best wrestlers at Henry Clay. Again, it's like Dominic Black was a throwing dummy for us. And so, when you're in a wrestling room where you don't have that much competition, it gets to be actually more competitive. Going for this single. Gosh, I don't even remember this. Okay, yeah, I feel good about this Navy I'm about to run on him.
There it is. So you get another takedown and so out of bounds.
6-2?
6-3.
Okay.
So you're up 3, short time. Did you ever think about just cutting him and just saying I'm better on defense than?
Oh yeah. No. I'm not gonna give up a reversal. I will totally give up an escape compared to reversal at this point.
Kids always remember that. 1, not 2.
And I do remember his crossface was always just tough. Like he was hitting it hard, way harder than it looks on here.
So you get another takedown there. So now we're at 8.
8-3.
You win by final
it must
score.
Be 8-4. Yeah, it must be 8-4 because he got the takedown.
8-4.
I mean, he got the escape because I couldn't have gotten it. That's Cole. That's Persons in the background.
Yep, that's Eddie right there.
Yeah, that's Persons in the background.
Yep,
and I'm telling you,
Persons.
The entire crowd couldn't wait to get me off the stage.
And here comes Troy Cole, and you give him a high five.
Yeah.
Here comes Coach Greathouse out. Or not?
Yeah.
Not Greathouse. Is that?
Yeah. No, that's Coach Greathouse. Yeah.
Okay.
That was Coach Greathouse. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh man, my pleasure. My pleasure. And of course, we got the medal ceremony. Now, is that Coach Powell handing them out the
That's
awards
Coach
right
Powell.
there?
Yeah, that's Coach Powell. I'm surprised Coach Powell got to be the one handing them out.
Here comes Daryl getting his medal.
A little bit of the Michael Jackson impact right there.
Yeah.
Checking the shirt. Yeah.
And then here you come.
Repping the Goose Givens, James Lee.
Right.
I was representing James Lee, not Goose Givens. I'm not a Bryan Station guy. I'm a Henry Clay guy.
Well, what they used to call them, Silk and Steel back in '78.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And that's where this one ends. So,
wow.
Man, You have
Thank you, Alex.
good
Thank you.
memory, but watching it back, giving a few seconds to let it process, does it play out the way you remember it?
You know what? Back then, I just remember thinking. So I was so nervous about the my first match against Burgess, uh, and my second match. What was the Union County guy's name?
Let me pull back up here. Give me just 1 second.
But
Your first match was against Paul Brewer from
Brewer.
Wagner.
Yeah.
Then your second match was against Mike Burgess from Union County.
Yeah. So back when I was a senior, it was like Western Kentucky was the deal. Like we had it was like Eastern Kentucky was nothing. Lexington was not much more. All the wrestling was either Louisville or Western Kentucky. And it was really Union County was just dominant. And they had displaced Woodford County as like the top school. And so when I saw I'm wrestling a guy from Union County, I was so nervous. And furthermore, I didn't know whether Troy Cole was going to be in my weight class or not leading up, because he had wrestled 45 in some of the regular season matches and 55 in some of the regular season matches. So I didn't know whether I was even, because I knew good and well Troy Cole was better than me. There's no way I got a shot.
Real quick, I have the 1985 team standings. I think I could, a good friend of the channel, Dr. Matt Shotwell, 167-pound state champion that year, a two-timer. I believe it was either him or Troy himself said that Troy bumped up because they were going to try to win another team title. And, of course, Hopkinsville won it in 85, 153 points. Union County come in second with 97.5. Fern Creek come in third at 77. And Connor come in fourth at 73. So,
wow.
I guess a few things didn't work out for Connor, but that was the plan, was to put Troy in a position, because I believe Connor had Madden, if I'm not mistaken, Rob Madden.
Yes.
And Rob goes on in 86, and Rob's video is on the channel.
Yeah.
We met with Rob there in Connor's mat room. So they had some horses to Connor being they had some horses to get it done, but I guess just a few things didn't work out. So, Troy, you and Troy, man, would have been a great match. It really, really would have.
It probably wouldn't have. Troy probably would have mopped me. I would have been so nervous, number one. I wouldn't have had confidence. Like I said, I had already beaten Daryl, so I had confidence. And when I didn't have confidence, I wasn't worth much. And matter of fact, it seems like I was just, prior to this talk, I was watching your video with Dominic Black, and Dominic said confidence was what changed him. The difference between Dominic as a junior and Dominic as a senior was confidence. And you know what? When I had confidence, I was good. When I didn't, I was terrible. So you gotta believe in you. And why do you have to believe in you? Because it's an individual sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings me to a great, we've radioed in for a landing here to wrap this one up. Being a former state champion, like you said, starting in high school, another beauty of this series is you can't always have, pick whoever. You can't always have somebody like Dominic Black. You can't always have somebody like Kyle Rochelle or Dave Barnes or any of the former state champions, and we're not trying to diminish anybody. I'm just saying those names just come to my head. They can't always come to your house and do a private clinic with you.
Yeah.
The Shane Stamatises of the world just can't drop in and say, all right, now let's get 100 reps on this shot, and then, go on about your life. But the kids, when I say the kids, the high schoolers and downs, and yes, I can say that because I've been out of school now over 20 years, so I can say kids. I've been out longer than I was in, so I can say the word kids, is we've had coaches tell us that they've set their kids down, their teams down, whether it's youth, middle school, high school, and maybe not watch the whole video, but watch their match, watch how they wrestled, hear them talk about it, what they messed up on, or whatever the case is. But to the youngsters getting into the sport, maybe they're coming in as seniors this year, what advice would you tell them? Say, hey, I wish I knew this. I wish I would have focused a little bit more on this, or I put too much emphasis on this, because you can never have enough information from a good source.
Man, that's a great question. So first of all, I think I learned how to lose. So I was, as a freshman 98 pounder, I was 16-16, but 6 of my wins were by forfeit. So really I was 10-16. I want to say I was like 14-18 as a sophomore. I was maybe 30-10 or something like that. 40 matches. Why was I wrestling 40 matches as a junior? Because I was in wrestlebacks. You wrestle more matches when you're in wrestlebacks. Yeah. So there's probably nobody who wants. I'm probably at the top of the list when it comes to losing and still winning state. And so my point to somebody, like if I was talking to a son or grandson of mine, I'd say, don't give up. Like you don't know how much you can improve from your freshman to sophomore, sophomore to junior, junior to senior. And then the other thing I would say is you have to be, like, I think of Dominic Black. He went from didn't even make it to the state final. It's not like, so we're talking about arguably the best athlete in the history of Kentucky. And he didn't even make it to the state championship as a junior. And yet he was this close to making it to the Olympics. And so don't give up. Like I didn't even go to state. So freshman through sophomore, freshman through junior. Mm-hmm. And so you can't say it's too late. Like you keep working, you keep fighting, you just don't give up. And whether we're talking about wrestling, whether we're talking about working through academics, getting your mm-hmm. degree, whether we're talking about getting your next degree, your master's, your doctorate, whether we're talking about getting that next job, whatever, all you can do is all you can do. And if you keep fighting to the end, like I just think of the number of people that I know that were better than me when I started out, and yet I won state. But I also think of, I was a state champion, and yet when I went to the wrestling room at Carson Newman College, being a state champion was a dime a dozen. And when I look at in the professional world, you know what? You just keep on working, and God's going to bless your efforts. Is kind of the way I think of that. Yeah. You know what? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you brought up Carson Newman. There for a while, that was a pipeline from Kentucky to Carson Newman of wrestlers. So we've had a lot of guys, whether on camera or off camera, talk about who all went. I think you wrestled there, correct?
Yes. Yeah. It was great. Yeah. We had a lot of Kentucky guys coming down.
And refresh my memory, where was that again?
It's just east of Knoxville. And
okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course they canceled their program, no longer have it. But like I said, the Carson Newman to Kentucky, or Kentucky to Carson Newman pipeline, man, was strong.
Yeah.
You get down there, man. I'm glad Rocky Top didn't rub off on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane, man, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about a lot of things. Before we, cut the tape here, is there anything you'd like to say, add? Anybody like to shout out, anything like that? Because we like to give everybody the opportunity to say give their flowers. You know what I mean?
You know what? The thing, all I want to make sure is that it's crystal clear that when Dominic Black was a sophomore, that I used to mop this dude.
And as soon as I post this, he will probably call or text me, "Hey man, delete that video, cut that out." What's Shane trying to do to me, man? Actually, I don't know if you know or not, but Dominic got hired as a head wrestling coach in the Cincinnati area. I don't know the name of the school. It's where his kids go. But
Anderson.
Okay, yep, that's it. I believe that's it. He a couple months ago he messaged me, said he got the job, and I was like, man, that's if there's anybody you'd want to lead a program,
he's the guy. Yeah,
it's a retired lieutenant colonel, retired lieutenant colonel, almost an Olympian, that still has a losing record to Shane Stamatis.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But man, it was nice getting to do this with you very quick. I love the efficiency that we had today. It's still kind of, I don't want to say in awe, but it was just how fast everything moved on us getting this lined up. And I see you're wearing a Kansas City Royals jersey. I believe they've got a game tonight, so we're going to let you go enjoy that. But I think this was a great start to the 4th of July holiday week, letting you see your video and getting to hear your story. And I'm sure the Henry Clay and the Lexington and everybody that from 1985 will enjoy the story, the match, because that's one thing about it, man. It's Kentucky against the world. You know what I mean? Kentucky against the world. That's the way I'm proud to say that Kentucky wrestling is leading the charge.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to be the face, the voice, the personality that everybody knows, hey, man, let's be more like Kentucky. Why aren't we doing what Kentucky's doing? So, Shane, thank you for doing this. I greatly appreciate it. We will see you guys and girls on the mats.
All right. Thank you.